Okay. Hey. Welcome to Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. Yeah, got a little bunch of stuff popping up on the screen. How you guys doing? I'm coming back in. I did a previous episode or a previous recording, and my buffering was acting up a little bit, so I wanted to kind of come in and give you guys something a little bit smoother, but that might be out of my control right now. So like I said, I wanted to just come in and I want to give my opinion on a question, or no, almost like a rhetorical point that podcaster, social influencer, business entrepreneur Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com, he was kind of throwing out there for, us to ingest and, ponder, you know what I mean? So my pondering goes with the podcast because I have a podcast. So I've been doing podcasts for pretty much, I could say, where I could show evidence and factual basis to me doing it. I've been kind of doing this since 2015 hardcore. 2008, 2009, I kind of would do a podcast and put it on my website, and people would just be able to go to there and go to the website page and just click on the play, and it'll play the clip and everything like that. But with video and audio and all that good stuff, and just doing podcasting heavily, I was really doing it 2015 heavy, and 2016 through the election, and 2017 to cover the first year and everything like that. And then I partner with my brother, love him, miss him, gentleman I call my brother because we have such a major tying to each other. His name is Khalil Biddle, and we did a podcast called Life, Choice, Health, and Wealth. And you can see all this stuff on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud and Spotify and stuff like that. We really put it out there, and we got hundreds of hours of it. But I've been heavily doing my podcast on Rumble. That's why I have the descriptions in the bottom of this episode and in the description area, because I've been heavily over there. But I told myself, I would like to get a good group of band of misfits over in the YouTube space, because I want to do an 18 to 20 hour podcast, the election day coverage, because I want to bring some people in with different point of views and everything like that, and really challenge the individual perspective in a high octane debate structure, So I came over to YouTube to just kind of start doing my podcast here. That's why I'm so covering so many hours and stuff like over here, because I have hundreds of hours over in Rumble. But to bring things over to Rumble, to YouTube, you don't know what you're going to get flagged by. You don't know what's under the guise of very freedom of speech over in Rumble, but get you flagged and demonetized over in YouTube world. So it's better to leave the stuff over there in Rumble and just kind of try to manage myself under the rules and the regulations of YouTube over here. But it's hard because I don't like to kind of almost allow a company or anyone to stifle freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not what you like or what you agree about. It's what you don't like, and the individuals to have that freedom to communicate whatever they got on their mind. Because in London, they used to take people head for saying something out of term, and even modern London and modern England and modern Europe now, you're not really free to say what you want to say. You could go to jail heavily for communicating something that's deemed lack of decorum and uncivilized or something. But in America, you could be a racist, you could say whatever you want to say and communicate whatever you want to say, whatever degenerate things you want to communicate, and you don't go to jail for it. You don't get killed for it or something like that. You have the freedom to communicate anything out your mouth. The consequences of what another person may do to you, to what you're saying, is based on how that person want to react to what you're saying, and the consequences to them for reacting. That's most that we do in America for punishment of or reciprocal analyzation of what another person would do to you to disenfranchise you of your autonomy, your body, your safetyness, or your communication and your freedom of existing. You have to be the one to protect that. You have to be. That's what American Constitution allows. That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment and the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Is because even if our government decided that we couldn't communicate or do or act or be that's rightfully and just for us to be and act and say or do in our constitutional rights, we all as a community, collective citizen should be able we should have the power to overpower our government. And if we take that stuff away from ourselves because we feel like a rocket launcher is too much for an American citizen to have. A tank is too much for an American citizen to have. A F-16 is too much for an American citizen to have. Well, you do a disservice to your rights and your constitutional rights by not giving yourself that power over your government. And that's what we have done. We have enslaved ourselves heavily over the rights our Constitution gives us because we think the decorum of it or the civilized manner of it is too out of pocket. So our government has us analyzing ourselves and dictating to ourselves that we shouldn't force or we shouldn't group together and have the riches of us buy F-16s. You get what I'm saying? The riches of us have tanks. The riches of us have whatever artillery that our government has, we have it. That's in the power in the hands of our citizen. I know that sounds radical, but that's what the Constitution tells you to do. They put it in place because in our Civil War and our independence, if the government couldn't protect our land or get there in enough time to protect our land from foreign invasion, the American people would need to be able to arm themselves and empower themselves to protect themselves until cavalry comes. You get what I'm saying? So that's why the Second Amendment was put there. It's not only for foreign incursion, but it's for anyone that disenfranchise the population, the citizenry. You get what I'm saying? The citizenry are the big bad wolves, not your local cop precincts, not your military bases, not your presidents, not your congressmen, not your senators. You know what I mean? Not the executive branch of the different law enforcement entities. Those are not the big bad wolves. Those are not the people you're supposed to be scared of. You're supposed to be scared of the citizenry. Because that's a free citizen. That's a free country. You get what I'm saying? But we're kind of doing some really weird thing where we allow our elites to be the mindset of the citizenry. So we don't even analyze our newscasters and our reporters because they dress in suits, they got good graphics, and they got good production teams. And it's even going to the podcast world where these rich, very fluent influencers that they got the status and they got the power. So we allow for the things that come out their mouth to advocate how we conduct ourselves with each other because of status, because of a separation of relativeness. You know what I mean? So only reason why I say that is because now it's like I don't even think we're nowhere near that thought process, but now we need to really have a clear understanding of who voice is giving a very free um, objective analysis to the events and the situations that are and the conversations that we are having as a society. Anton Daniels to me is a really, really, really good voice, and for me, I don't really submit to anyone or anyone's ideology, but I want to be able to objectively observe and hear if something is as closest to objectivity that I would vet under individuality and individual perspective. And what is the individual perspective? Because I keep saying that that's the name of the episode. I mean, that's the name of the podcast. Individual perspective is the ability to, I want to say that right because I'm, an individual perspective is the ability to vet your mama, your daddy, your siblings, your community, the society, your favorite heroes, favorite movie stars, your favorite musicians, favorite politicians. You vet history and you see if it holds up to scrutiny and it has an objectivity that is the truth. And that's a hard thing because even in my understanding of life and going through different things I'm going through in my life and even my come up and my leveling up and everything, I'm finding out that objectivity in most times can be a detriment to yourself because you're too honest, you're too analyzing what it is, that sometimes you need to manipulate and you need to persuade and you need to take something on the chin, or you need to how can I say have a conducive interaction with people that may be favorable to closing a deal or interacting or getting people to be supportive to what you're doing, because you can't do success doesn't come by itself. You need people to kind of magnify it. You need other exterior voices to or attentions to magnify, especially in media where I'm a filmmaker. So in my world, I have to be so objective and so open and so have the ability to analyze myself and what I perceive as something that's good and what a person in Kentucky would perceive something interesting and something entertaining or something like that. So I have to be able to allow myself to get into the mindset of viewers and content ingesters and the end user inside of California, inside of Atlanta, inside of New York, inside of Vancouver, inside of Chicago, inside of Kentucky, beside of Mississippi and Louisiana. I had to get into the mindset, to Florida, get into the mindset of what these people are congesting, what they're ingesting, what they perceiving as interesting to them and what draws to them and attracts them and everything like that. You have to get into that mindset as a filmmaker in order to know what you're writing and how you're casting and how you're filming and how you're presenting. You gotta kind of get into those minds, because that's the only way that your work will in results be a body of work that is ingestible. You know what I mean? It could be consumed and it can be, I'll say, effortlessly consumed. You know what I mean? So I say that in order to say, like, when we're talking about politics, when we're talking about the social dynamics of life and the sexual dynamics of relationships and everything like that, it gets very noisy because you got so many different perspectives out there. You got so many different conceptions out there. So in that situation, you're kind of leaving it up to people to seek you out. But most people, they don't really seek things out. It pops up in the algorithm. It pops up in a question they ask on YouTube or Google, like 10 years ago or 5 years ago or a year ago, a month ago, 10 days ago. And your content so much pushes to that algorithm because you're in the escape. I mean, you're in the, not escape. You're in the rhythm of what's trending, pretty much. And so when you're doing podcasting, I'm growing here because I'm coming from Rumble. I did hundreds of hours in Rumble. That's where I normally would do it. But I wanted to build my audience in YouTube. So I told myself to just start doing episodes in YouTube because I do want to do a 18 to 20 hour podcast of the election. And I need to grow my viewership. I'm working on it, y'all. I'm very much working on it. So in order to come over here, I just do my episodes. And like I said, I want to communicate on content and conversations that our culture and our society is having. But I'm also getting so frustrated with watching Fox News and listening to Charlie Kirk and PBD and Dan Bongino and everything. And it's just so they have so much money and so much sponsorships and so much like corporate mindset because how they interact with each other and just the type of people that they're interacting with and how they're getting their funding, that their objectivity is damaged, it's diluted. So you're getting about 40% truth from them. The other 60% is self-preservation. And the truth is not out there, or it can't be adjusted so quickly or effortlessly because they cover it with so much talking points and conservative ideology and, Christian perception and perspective and everything that it's just not what it is. It's some subjective analyzation and some manipulation that they're trying to make your mind go into for their own gratification and what they perceive the end result should be for civilization. But we don't live in that society no more. We're fighting for our life now. Like literally, we're I say 8 days away from America's been completely destroyed. I said in 2015, Trump is fighting for a dead country. It's a corpse. Now, of course, in my inside, in my heart, my spirit, I want it to be that I'm looking as the glass is half empty, that is half full. So I want to go against my thought process and say it is, but I want you guys to go back to 2016, how bad it was, and just all the different degenerate things we started to make normality. You know what I'm saying? And then from 2016 to now, how our society is, and that the control of the narrative has always been Democrats, liberals, radical socialists inside of progressives inside of our country, Hollywood, and what they perceive the world should be like and how we should conduct ourselves and what's allowed. And they're really an everything goes society. They're everything. We have a everything goes society, but it comes from a everything goes idealism. And where is that idealism coming from? I always, like I said in a previous episode, but I'm going to recap it just to give you guys a good context of me even opening my mouth talking to you. I feel that FDR, when he put food stamps and income tax and taxation on the American citizens into play, a lot of people think it was to help the low income people and the impoverished people, but it almost was like a apology to the farmers and the agriculture and the South and the things that kind of gave us fabrics and different stuff like that, because they couldn't attend to the makings of their farm, and they couldn't tend to the actual making of products and productivity in America because of the abolishment of slavery. So in order for them to allow farmers and manufacturing to kind of think of a way to kind of keep things kind of balanced out or try to get themselves back up to productivity, they needed a stimulus, you know what I mean? And what that was FDR deciding we got to find some way to make sure that we back up our citizens when our policies and our social dynamics change. And I feel that FDR was somewhat of a racist, and he somewhat kind of was trying to help the downtrodden white population that had slavery abolished, and they kind of took 40 to 50 years to try to get their footing back to their land and their productivity and all the other stuff. So they came up with the Farm Bill, and that put them back into economic structure. But his vice president, Henry Wallace, he was like a socialist, so you know, that would help blacks and whites and the low income people and everybody out. So that's why they put the Farm Bill, and they did all the crazy stuff to kind of, it's almost like apology for slavery, because, you know, I'm not saying that they were for slavery. I just felt like they felt the damage of ending slavery did something to the country, and they needed to right that right. And how did you right it right? You have to take it from the Northerners, the manufacturing plants, the Henry Fords and all them like that. You had to take it from the economical combustion of the northern states that knew how to have funds and richness without slavery and all the other stuff. So you got to tax them, and then by taxing them, and you could be able to take care of farmers in the South, farmers in Iowa and all that other stuff. And it's just the way it was, y'all. I'm just being very blunt and honest and objective on this. So you fast forward that to where you have a racist president and Lyndon Johnson, and this is in his own words and his own recordings, that he was gonna make the N-words vote for Democrats for thousands of years to come. How did he know that, and knew what, by signing the Civil Rights Bill and putting the Civil Rights Bill into play, and then putting like low income welfare and everything into play, that was going to give Black Americans a mindset to be devoted to the Democrat Party for generations to come. How did he know that in the 1960s? How did he know that? Because look at us. We're like we're debating if Trump is going to actually get 20% of the actual black vote. That's sad if he gets 20% of the black vote. That's sad. Because he should be in the 30s and 40s like the Hispanics. The Hispanics are voting for Trump about 40 to 45%. Why? Because you got men and you got women and you got people that do, and people that are just getting the benefits of other people that's doing. That's just the way that our society is. And how do you have like the majority, like you have black people consistently for 40, 50 years going for Democrat policies, which black people, they huffed and puffed after the civil rights, and they bitched and moaned, and they rioted in their cities, and the white people decided, like, hey, y'all want to run this city? Here, take this shit. And they gave them the city. They moved up north into the suburb areas. They moved away from everything. They're not making no decisions. So every single vote, every single law, every time a person get pulled over by a cop, those are regulations by your city council members. All that stuff is done by black Americans, by black voters, by black city council members, by liberal city council members, by Democrats, by the people in the idealism of black America, which you voted 90% for. And those thought processes put on you guys and say, hey, take your cities. What do you want to do with it? Let you run it. And we got like people would complain about Trump talking about Detroit. The whole country's going to be like Detroit if Kamala becomes president, and everybody got offended. Detroit's doing good. Detroit's doing good in the downtown area. You get what I'm saying? Go to 8 Mile and Hoover. I know that's, you guys may not understand what that is, but Detroiters know what I'm talking about. Go on Plymouth in Detroit. Go on Grand River and Schoolcraft. Grand River and Evergreen. Go to boy, I could just tell you 100 different places, and people know what I'm talking about. 80% of Detroit looks terrible, and the funding is terrible. But because we put in these big, beautiful, and I think we should, that we can get a Gucci store in the downtown area is unbelievable. You couldn't see that 10 years ago. But we're still the second, and we toggle in between first and second place. Most murders in the whole country. City with the most murders in the whole country. Most violence in the whole country. Most carjackings and all that stuff. We toddle from the second to the first, and we've been that way for literally about 20, 30 years. Consistently. That's not a place to talk about. You don't want to take Lizzo's advice and want the whole country to average out to a Detroit. You don't want that. The new buildings, the stadiums, all the different stuff that's going in, that's good. That's been done by marketing execs and financial consultings and tech, media tech, like what I say about it would be like advertising firms and stuff like that. It would be from coders and people building websites and doing tech work and all that stuff, like tech applications and stuff like that, building apps, building websites, building like media for Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff is those are the people that's bringing money in the downtown area. Okay, it's the people that's part of media, part of the internet, part of like financial accounting and stuff like that of other big companies. That's where Detroit pretty much get its foundation and its wealth from right now. The manufacturing of, and they're pretty much managing the funding of the manufacturing because it's coming back to the city and stuff like that. But really, our manufacturing of our audio industrial companies are kind of going down, and it has always been going down. Our manufacturing has gone down so significant. It has moved to Ireland and South Carolina, Ohio, Mexico, Canada, a lot of the money and the manufacturing and the economic power of Detroit has went into all those different places. And it's been going that way heavily for the last 10 to 20 years. And it's not been conversated about because we can go downtown and watch a ball game and it's civilized somewhat. You know what I mean? It looks kind of interesting somewhat. We got a decent people mover. We got different transportation in the downtown area that makes it seem like it's all fun and dandy. But everything around it is catastrophic. I'm a Detroiter, so I'm telling you this. I'm not lying to you. The only reason why I bring that up is because if you, from what I just got through saying in the last hour or so, if you look at the previous episode and you look at this episode, you'll understand that it's the perception, it's the manipulation, it's the psychological, subjective idealism of propaganda that gives us the mindset that we have. So now, I always say that men, we don't want to talk about abortion. We could care less about it. We can care less about what women decide to do with their bodies and all the other stuff, because if you want a man's opinion, women are pretty too ridiculous and too mentally unstable to make big decisions about life, about population, about how to conduct for long-term periods. They're not stable to do that. But in the demand, in the dominance of other men willing to kill other men to give women their advocacy and give women their power and give women their way of how they feel that they should play a part in society, men have decided, well, hands off. I'm not trying to kill you or you try to kill me in order to let her magnify her voice. You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get into a fight with my girl or my wife, their family members, their extensions, or the society, or the police precinct down the street in order to have a conversation about, or a debate, or a dominance of how women should conduct themselves in society. No, allow them to make the decisions that they want. Why? Because as long as we enjoy life or accomplish and do the best we can to magnify ourselves, we can kind of have our cake and eat it too. We don't really have to get into this situation of, don't you want to be a mother when you're 50 years old or you're 60 years old? Don't you want to? And when they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, their answer is no. They could care less about that stuff. They want to have fun. They want to have a good life. But sooner or later, what price did you pay to have an easygoing life? What price did you pay for that? And I don't think that the rhetoric of, and I'll go through this because I do want to comment on some of the things that even Anton Daniel said in his communication, but that's just to take you into the mindset of decision making of abortion. Men have decided, hands off. Don't mess with a woman and her decision of what she want to do. Let her do what she want to do, no matter how terrible it is for the society, no matter what it does psychologically, to how we interact with each other, and even the meaning of human beings and Homo sapiens in the evolution of society and people. Leave it alone. Don't fight that battle. And so that's why women are saying, like, oh, we don't have any masculine mans anymore. You have masculine mans, but they turned it off. They cut it off. It's innately in us to be dominant, to be conquerors, to be accomplisher, to be people that accomplish, to be aggressive. It's innately in every single man. I call it the Alexander syndrome. Every man has an Alexander syndrome. The problem is you can't coexist in dominance if you're kind of advocating for the advancement of women. Because in order to advance women, you have to somewhat subdue men. You have to. You can't have two driving point of views, perspectives, goals. If a husband and wife got two extreme goals, or they got goals that absolutely everything got to be put into it. Everything got to be put into it. But if the wife said everything need to go into what I want to do, and the husband says everything need to goes into what I want to do, you have a conflict there, and it's disruptive. And that's why you got divorces. That's why you got separations. That's why you got single moms. And that's why you got men that won't devote. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's too much of the same drive. And it's two people with separate goals living in a household, coming together with separate goals. Sooner or later, there's a conflict going to happen. And if you subdue your conflict, if you suppress your conflict, if you say, you know what, she's a moron, but I don't want to even have this fight. I really don't feel like doing this. It's going to make me put too much of my mindset, too much of my thought process into that, where I'm not really doing what I need to do right now to get done what I need to get done right now. So men subdue themselves. And by subduing yourself, you're becoming a beta. You're not an alpha. And so now you got the social media influencers, and you got the podcasters, and you got the manosphere, and the culture telling you that you're a beta and that you're a simp and all that other stuff, because you're subduing yourself in order to be civilized and conduct yourself in a civilized environment with women. Okay, so that's how that is. So that's why you get men that women call weak men or betas and not strong and everything like that. They innately could dominate you. They innately could tell you what to do and superimpose their will on you. But they're trying to civilize. They're trying to be in a civilized condition with the women in their life, their mama, their mama, their sisters, their aunties, their girlfriends, their wives. And in order to be in that civilized situation, you're going to have to subdue yourself a little bit. And some guys are able to not do that, like an Anton Daniels. And he has a dominance over women in his life and everything. But I'm pretty sure what he doesn't tell you is that he got a lot of conflict with that. A lot of people conflict in his personal life with him. And it made him have to actually put certain guardrails and certain ways of dealing and interacting with people into play, that no matter what the negative factors of it, is better than being submissive to an era in humanity and evolution and society. So that's why I say he's a good advocate for how men should think and what they should strive for. But at the same time, there's some errors in, I think, in just the way the cause and effect in yin and yang, because I don't really analyze things to how it is for us as a culture, us as men, us in the modern time. I'm saying no matter what you do in modern time, you play a factor to this end. So if you play a factor to this end and what's going to happen in your life to this end, you're going to have more men not bringing really productive and good people into the world. They're not going to do it. They're not going to be in a place to do it. They're not going to be in a mindset to do it. Why? Because civilization tells them you can't be a garbage man making $50,000 a year and decide that a woman should be respectful to you in order to get into a situation where you can have a kid, you can have a family. You need to be $100,000 and up in order for that to happen. And our majority of our society has people that's making $30,000, $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, $50,000, $56,000 a year. And that's not the best that everybody gonna do, but in a lifetime, They could work 30, 20, I say about 30 to 20 to 30 years, and they will make about, if they do the 401k right, if they do their purchasing a house to put their money into, something to put their money into, they're going to be able to walk away with about $700,000 if they're lucky. I'm talking about majority, everybody that's in this country. They're going to be able to walk away with $700,000 in the end that they can actually liquefy. You know what I'm saying? That's the best that everybody's going to do. And I'm talking about they doing some great decision makings. They maxing out their 401k. They're actually doing be disciplined to pay their mortgage and all that stuff like that. And they making sure everything is good. And they eating, buying the average amount of food that a person should ingest, paying their gas, taking a random vacation once or twice a year. And that's the end results of the average person. So if that's true, then to perceive that every man should be $100,000 and up in order for them to get a respectable woman or a respectable family that look up to them and respect them as the authority over the family, just because that's the man of the house or that's the man in the relationship. And the conversation of podcasters, social influencers, and people, the elite, is saying that we don't think you should ever strive to have a happy life or have a connection with another person or the opposite sex to because you may be picking up our garbage, you may be stocking our shelves, you may be serving us our food, but you shouldn't have nothing. You should have no kind of happiness with another human being or the opposite sex unless you're making 100,000 and up. And if you're not doing that, you shouldn't have that happiness. Why would we build a culture like that? And why would we advocate on a day-to-day basis about that? That's just ridiculous. But that's what our culture has come to. And by doing that, we have women deciding, I got to get rid of this baby. I can't have this baby. I got to have the utmost opportunity or possibilities or ways that I can get rid of a baby anytime I feel like I want to give it. Hey, this he ain't leveling up. I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant for about 4 months, and I just don't see he gonna get that money right for me. He gonna be able to purchase that house for me before the baby come out. He's not gonna be able to do this for me before the baby come out. And then they start to get abortion in the 4th month, and the 5th month, and the 6th month, and it's just like, hold on a second, you got twins in you. At the least, you got twins for 3 months in you that actually build a certain kind of physical body, and then you take a pill that's gonna kill that baby and make them as bacteria in your body, and you're just hoping that the pill works it out where you push out the mucus and the fetus body and all that stuff like that. I know this sounds horrible, but this is the mindset that the level up culture has put into the average person's mind. And level up culture didn't come in 2020 with the podcasts and the influencers and all that stuff. This stuff came back in the 1970s. That's where the separation coming from. That's where the black community got 26 to 30 million abortions in their community. That's where that comes from. That's where it comes from. Where the country has 44 million abortions in the whole country for the last 30 to 40 years. So I wanted to start off with that to let you guys know that I'm not just communicating to you about this stuff. I got substance. I should be communicating because I have common sense and objectivity to my rhetoric, okay? And it should be something that you consider what I'm saying. So, okay, let's go to the first clip and let's listen to Anton Daniels and let's have a conversation with at least his communication.
Again, I'm very confused why this is such a big issue and that people are making reproductive rights, and they terming it that way because they don't really want to address the real issues that's happening inside of the community. And we not getting to the core of people terminating their pregnancies, or people getting pregnant out of wedlock with unwanted pregnancies in the first place. But they standing on this demonic agenda. And it's really weird because now you have all of these celebrities that's telling you to get on code based off of identity politics. And then Kamala Harris came up there right after Beyonce and started doing her whole agenda when it comes to making sure that women can choose the right to do what they want to do with their own bodies. Even at the behest of a late term pregnancy of something that they wasn't supposed to do. I'm always curious, right? Let me ask y'all this question. I know that that's the only thing that they can use to tap into most people's emotions, that and identity politics, to get you to vote a certain way, right? But let me ask y'all another question. Where is the incentive, the financial incentive? Because one part of her policies is that she wants to give you $6,000 for a new kid. And then she always goes through her regular speech of baby formula or a new car seat or something like that, right? And tax rebates or incentives or whatever. I don't know. My kid is almost 17 years old. I don't know what the heck is going on with these new people. Never had a kid out of wedlock. Never had a baby mama, so it's a little different for me. But rest the real issues.
And his point of like the incentive, one is the $6,000 tax rebate that she's talking about, or if she decides to actually pay attention to what she's saying and say tax, literally like $6,000 loan, not loan, but like stimulus that she's willing to give people if they have it. Those are for women that don't do the abortion, but they have the out of wedlock kid because that's a culture thing to just spit out a baby that they didn't want. And instead of making a baby where you're like, because I think Kamala does think about some of the things that she dealt with in being an attorney general and a prosecutor and stuff like that, and a DA and all that stuff like that. I think she does think about that, and she knows that women are pretty messed up. You know what I'm saying? She thinks about the mamas that's dropping off the kids at the actual the police station or the actual fire station, or put them in a garbage can and killing them and stuff like that. She thinks about this a lot because I'm pretty sure she had to deal with it or seen some cases in it. She's dealing with the putting them in the microwave oven, in a microwave, and doing the wildest stuff that women have done to unwanted pregnancies that they actually put into society. So I guess an implementation of it to say, hey, if you go too far and you can't get it and you can't do the abortion, then I'm gonna give you a incentive to try to deal with the baby and get yourself past that what they call that it's when a woman in her first year within her first year she has the baby, postpartum depression. It's that thought process of like adjusting, and your body is different, and the mess that it did to your body, and you start to get into a depression about having a baby and how much it completely destroyed you, or it's some kind of negative thought process that women go to, that they actually put it as a thing that's happening to most women now in their idealism, or their not idealism, but their mental thought process after they have the baby, within the first month, the first 3 months, and stuff like that. I forgot what they call it. But it's like a post pregnancy. It's like a mental depression that women go into. So my point of bringing that up is to say that, so she's trying to make it that if she gives them a tax incentive in their first year, which they needed in their first year. They need it within the first 3 weeks or a month, 3 months of having that baby. They need that actual money if you think that money's going to drive them to be a little bit happier about having a baby. Because when they start to, after they have the baby, they go into some women go into a place where, and in the black community, most women go into a place where it's a negative thing about having the baby after they have the baby. You know, they carry it around, they do what they do, but they start to get the real depression situation that kicks in within the 3 weeks to the first 3 months. So the first 3 weeks to the 3 weeks to 3 months period, within that time, that's where that depression kicks in, that regret, that not being able to connect with the baby kicks in. And they're trying to say, what Kamala is saying, that if we give you money, unlimited money, $6,000, where it's, you know, it's, if you split that up $2,000 every week to take care of the kid, you're not really looking for diapers, you're not really caring about like formula, you're not really worrying about clothing, you got plenty of money to go take care of the kid, additional to the money that you're getting from your life. That's what she's kind of putting into play. So I think that's what the thought process is, which is really messy because it tells you that psychologically and I feel this goes back to me telling you the idealism, the culture, social culture perspective of family and kids and pregnancy and women's body and what the body is, what female body is used for and what is the purpose of it for. It's so dead in our culture because of the level up culture from the 70s, especially just it ramped up tenfold in 2020 during the pandemic. Now, the average woman, you couldn't get them, they wouldn't dare have a kid. You get what I'm saying? So you got women from 35 and I'll say 18, 19, up to 35 years old, they wouldn't dare. They wouldn't dare. And then they regret it when they get 39, 40, 41, and they say, holy shit, I gotta have a baby. Is it even possible I can get a baby? And then they do the IVFs and stuff like that. That's what's going on, y'all. I'm telling you, it's bad. It's bad. Our culture is bad. Not only black culture, but the culture as America's period, because this is white women, Hispanic women, Asians, blacks, everybody's going through this kind of situation. That's why the relationships even in Japan is pretty brutal. It's pretty messy. You get what I'm saying? And South Korea is pretty bad. You get what I'm saying? And you got women from the Philippines marrying foreigners because it gives them more prosperity. So you even seeing women in Brazil and Philippines, they kind of want that level up culture and they want to live by the level up culture. So you're having men and women have such a divide that it only grows and it only gets more rhetoric, more idealism, more social function, and you don't really have a society making anymore. So that's why the bad part about that is you got you have them letting all the foreigners come into the country to substitute our pretty much our culture, pretty much. You know, they say it was for the workers and all that stuff. No, y'all replacing the actual citizens and the actual culture in our country. And I understand their theory of, hey, if you guys are not mating, you're not birthing, and you're not doing that, we need some kind of growing society. But what they did was they made the black American go into obsolete faster. It's almost like we're about to get winged out and be like a dinosaur. faster. I know that sounds crazy what I'm saying. I know it does. I know it does. You're like, oh, yeah, you talking about? You know what I mean? I wish I had that video that I could show you what our birth rate is going to be in our society for the next, like, literally. They did a research one from the year 1610 to what is most likely going to be from the data that we have up to 2060. So I wish I had that with me and stuff. It's a simple thing, and maybe I'll bring it in and do this conversation. But let's let Anton finish his point of view on this, and then. But I just wanted to come in and kind of communicate that situation, because I felt that would be a good point of view to why the birth rate and even just the idealism of abortion is such a point of view, because the average communication from men and women are saying, don't have a baby unless you're rich or you're high financially doable. And that has put the regulations on how men are interacting with women to have families, and how women are interacting with men to even create a conducive environment to have a family. You get what I'm saying? Meaning that the tone, the vibe, the submissiveness, the vulnerability to even want to be in a situation to build a family. So I do truly believe that most people will fight for each other in survival. If a majority of the people will fight for a good structure, a good environment, if they're bringing a baby into it. The anomaly is men just having babies with women and just walking away. You're having babies with a guy that already got a baby with other women, or his wife or something like that, because you like the environment, you like his game, you like his car, you like his persona, you like his job, you like whatever you perceive that's valuable to you, that you allow a guy that has a kid to come into a relationship with you, and you have a kid with them. And the thought process of the average woman to protect herself from that, it's not something that you should probably protect yourself from anyway. It's like courting. Men should never be dating women that had sex already. Women should never be dating men that have kids out of wedlock and stuff. But the culture has decided that women are just as valuable as men in the social dynamics and everything. So now women saying, hey, even if you're rich, even if you're well-to-do, even if you're successful, you can't have another kid with a woman outside our marriage and all other stuff. So this is when religion comes into play, and the conversation, the objectivity of religion, the old gospel to the new gospel, and you know what I mean, and the cause and effect of the human body and stuff like that, and just the biological function of humans. And when we start getting into that, hopefully I can go into that before I hit 2 hours. Okay, so let me let Anton finish up. And like I said, Anton Daniels, I think he's a phenomenal advocate for the black people and how they need to think about the decisions that we making, how we need to kind of have a better society, have a better communication. But he's even part of the level up society too. So it's heartbreaking, because it's telling me the most functional people and the most good people in our society even have the most detrimental thought process that ends our society. or ends good interaction. Because now everything is based on a level up culture. And people say they don't want to advocate a level up culture, but you are. Because the basis of a level up culture is two people that come together and they fight to win together. They fight to coexist with each other. They fight to have a happy life together. And that should not be based on momentarily things, material things. It should be more in a spiritual connection and a evaluation to want to be good to each other in a way, you know. But I know that sounds crazy and it sounds like some simp stuff. It's not simp stuff, because you still want the woman to have a value of you as a man, that she submit herself to you and she's able to even at least to say, of course, women don't want to struggle, you know what I mean? So, but when you're struggling with a man, it's for you to come and sit down at the dinner table and say, hey, what's your plan? Yeah, it's not no major thing you got to do. We can start from zero, but I just want to know what your mindset, what your plan is, how you want, like, for us to kind of work out something here to have some kind of decent, civilized living standard that we're rising up. If that man can't come up with a plan of what kind of business he want to get into, how he want to do economics with the household and everything like that, if he doesn't have a structured plan to him, then it would be that somebody needs to be the counteracting, meaning that not counteracting, somebody will have to be the addition. Some things certain people are good at, some things that certain people are bad at. I do believe that a man in his right mind, in a very conscious level, and a very somewhat decent ninth grade education thought process of cause and effect and pros and cons and everything like that, he's gonna come up with a way that you guys can do your finances and you can do what you want to accomplish and the goals and the things you want to experience, but you can find a way to do it in a rude to the metric type of situation. You can find a way to do it in a cohesive, good strategy. I think most men could come up with that if they're in their right mind, if they just not trauma or destroyed mentally, or it's like a crazy situation. But you find that stuff out by not setting an agenda. Once you find out this is a good person, man, his heart is good, her heart is good, it's a really good, the stuff that they're saying is very honest and objective. Hey, let's have a conversation of zero. How do we conduct ourselves with each other from zero? If I give you everything I got, if you give me everything you got, and whatever it is, if mine is more, if yours is more, then mine's, no matter what it is, what's the plan? If I put everything I got into this, everything you got into this, if you don't got nothing, that's okay. I put everything I got into it. What's the plan? And if they could tell you something that makes sense and is really growth and prosperity and perspective or productive, then you move forward and you back each other up 100%. Back each other up 100%. And for the first time, I seen an interview or a debate that Anton Daniel was doing with somebody last week or something. I can't remember what it was. And he was telling, and they asked him, like, what do you think a relationship should be, 50-50? And he said 100-100. And that's right. It should be 100-100. If I come with $0, but I come with everything that I want to make sure that everybody can be happy and we can fight for something better, and I can fight for bringing $100, $100,000 of dollars into the table. You should come in it, whatever you got, whoever you are, whatever your good intentions are and everything like that. And then both of you coming in 100%, come up with a strategy, come up with a method of how to move forward and how to have a better a relationship and a better living environment that you guys have. That's how you should come. I know that sounds risky in the modern. I'm not saying do it now. I'm just saying this is how it's supposed to be. You get what I'm saying? Because I think our culture and I think our society, I think the black culture, I think America as a whole, no matter what race you are, I think it's done. I think it's destroyed. So that's why I'm saying, even for the Trump and Trump winning, it's a way to make sure that we don't have a superior in the midst of us trying to accomplish stuff, trying to stop us, trying to prevent every edge that we get. We got to deal with somebody else that's not even part of our household, that's not inside our relationship, that's not even part of helping productivity or prosperity or growth come. That our growth is all dependent on people and society that has nothing to do, and they keep going if we fail or lose. I mean, if we fail or succeed, the world will keep going. Your city will keep going. Your neighbors will keep going. Your family will keep going. And when you understand that's what it is, and you need to have a government, a culture that says, hey, I'm focusing on what I'm doing. I'm going to fight for it. And it's better to have a couple that's fighting for what the man is doing. Because I always say the man, because most women have come to find out after the 40, 50 years of women autonomy and women's rights and working relationship, they all have found that they don't like this shit. They don't want to be the breadwinner. They don't want to be the person that's got the most money in the relationship. They want to be taken care of. But the truth of the matter is, a man can take care of you and will take care of you, and it's a more probable outcome for the average man to take care of you. If a woman comes into a relationship with a man, find out what his agenda is. If he got a business mind, if he has a entrepreneur spirit, if he has a thing that he's working on, pour whatever you can in that, because the faster he succeeds in that, the faster he takes care of everything. Because we don't care about the money. We don't care about the cars. We don't care about the house. We don't care about the luxuries. We don't care about the clothing. We don't care about none of that stuff. We do that in order to close a deal, to do business with a certain kind of social dynamics or economic environment, or to attract women and hover our power over them and make them submit. That's most what all the glitz and glam is going to do in the method of productivity and outcome. So I know I would like to be a little longer and more detailed into that, but I'm kind of doing a lot of talking and giving you guys psychological methods. But I really want to kind of make sure that I leave room for the I only got about 2 or 3 clips I got to show you guys, but I want to go through what Anton is talking about. So let me let him spit, how they say. Let him throw his smoke.
Curious, right? Let me ask y'all this question. I know that that's the only thing that they can use to tap into most people's emotions, that and identity politics, to get you to vote a certain way, right? But let me ask y'all another question. Where is the incentive, the financial incentive? Because one part of her policies is that she wants to give you $6,000 for a new kid. And then she always goes through her regular speech of baby formula or a new car seat or something like that, right? And tax rebates or incentives or whatever. I don't know. My kid is almost 17 years old. I don't know what the heck is going on with these new people. Never had a kid out of wedlock. Never had a baby mama, so it's a little different for me. But they want to give you this money, right? This is what they're saying. They want to raise that, the earned child tax credit or something like that. And
yeah, but I think I need people to stop saying like they want to give the earned tax credit to $6,000. It means nothing if you're getting that a year after the baby is born. that's good. Let it come. If the mother able to put herself together or get through that first year a little bit smooth, but that would mean that they're extremely successful where they or stable, financially stable, where it wouldn't even matter if they have the $6,000 or not, because if they're gonna get the $6,000 after the year is up and when they do their tax returns the following year, then it goes against the purpose of the struggle that you're going to go through to the first 6 months of the baby coming into existence. And that's where you need that support and that financial support. So people got to find a way, or even Anton or anybody that's communicating about this, remind people that this money means nothing when you have the baby, because you got to wait a year after you have the baby to even see it. You get what I'm saying? That means that they're going to take $6,000 less from you in your tax returns the following year. So that's irrelevant. It's almost like making you vote for her for nothing but the perception of something. It's ridiculous. Because you ain't gonna, when you do that first baby, who you gonna go to? Who you gonna call? You know what I'm saying? To get the $6,000 right then and there. What'll normally happen is when you have a baby and you have the baby and then you sign the birth certificate, that gets notated and put into the system from the hospital or so. That gets put into the state information about an additional citizen that's been born. That check goes out to that citizen's parents that was born. That's how that. If that ever exists a way that they would do it, that's how it's supposed to go. But if you gotta claim, oh, I had a baby last year, well, shit, I guess you are financially all right that you got through it, but here's a little bonus for getting through it. That's wild stuff. So I just want this tax incentive, the tax, whatever the shit that they're saying is just retarded, and it means nothing when you're going through the shit.
Man, they want to raise that the earned child tax credit or something like that.
The earned child tax credit is ridiculous.
Is that the earned child tax credit or something like that? And cool, interesting. But then they want to talk about the right to be able to terminate. So what I'm wondering is, what is the financial gain? Because like, if you want to say, okay, men want to abolish or redo family court laws because it's not in the best interest of families, and the Democratic Party kind of incentivize women to leave their families, which then leads to all of the issues, we can see, where the financial incentive for that is. I mean, it's family court is a multi-billion-dollar industry that takes advantage of people to make sure that they pay lawyers, judges, the state, the counties. And then also, when you are under duress or when you create these environments, you continue to pour into the prison industrial complex. We know that, bad health and all of the repercussions, therapy and all of these places, and all of these people get paid throughout a person's lifetime because they're not trying to fix the issue. They're trying to continue to treat the symptom, which is profitable to treat the symptom. But what I'm wondering, and this is a question for you guys, and I would love for you guys to inform me inside of the chat, is what is the incentive for the whole reproductive rights? Who makes money? Why is it profitable? Because wouldn't you want more children, not from degenerates? We still need to fix that part of it. But wouldn't you want more?
Okay, see. Like, what's the degenerates? Like, can and Anton, I would like for you to do this if you see this. I'm a nobody, so I don't know if you're ever gonna see this. Who's the degenerates? Like, what's the percentage of women having babies out of wedlock that are from degenerates? You know what I'm saying? These most women are having babies by guys that are somewhat financially established. They got a good job, or they got a decent job, or they're in a relationship, so that kind of makes it where they're not like building a relationship with the side piece. You get what I'm saying? Or the girl that just has no, I'm not gonna have a marriage with you. You know, I spread my seed far and wide. I guess that's what men are saying. I'm not one of those guys, so I'm just saying that's the thought process of it. When you get into some kind of situation, sometimes you'll see the specimen of a woman and stuff, and you'll say, like, you know what, she'll make a beautiful baby and stuff, and you procreate with her. You get what I'm saying? And that seems like a lot of high level men are doing. They're kind of doing that. You know, it's not they making a mistake. They feel like, no, this is a beautiful woman. She got good education. She got good manners and stuff like that. And I wouldn't mind having a baby with her. But does that mean I'll marry her? You know what I'm saying? And what's the fear of the marriage? The fear of the marriage is once you get into that union, something happens psychologically that makes it's like you know, it's like one of those things that got like the sand and you turn it and it just starts the sand start coming down. It's like a time capsule. You get what I'm saying? Well, not a time capsule because that's something they put underneath the ground to dig up centuries from now. It's like a timer or something like that. So my thing is to say that when he says like the degenerates, we got to do something about the degenerates. Like that's not our problem. Our problem is not the degenerates that are making the babies. Our problem is that the mindset of 30, 40 years is going into birthing. You get what I'm saying? So, like, you got to understand that, like, people in poor countries, like Africa and Haiti and Asian poverty countries and stuff, and it's just people in low impoverished countries are having babies. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like the economic situation is the value of if you should have a baby or not. It's more the mindset of the two people. We are the most learned, educated, psychologically evolved cultures in the world. Americans. I don't care how ghetto black men are, the Ebonics that they speak, they are the most educated and evolved people in this country, meaning that when two people having a kid together or they coming together and they understand the responsibility of impregnating somebody, what's the psychological, what's the philosophy that's behind that person? Our philosophy is our culture. And if our philosophy and our culture has been get you a level up man before you have a baby, then you have a lot of women having kids with men that haven't really made a lot of success, but they cross the line and say something wow, cross the line and belittle a man and cross the line where that man, I would never look at you the same. And even if you have my baby, I'll never look at you and say, I don't care if you're pregnant and you're going through anger, it's like you're getting depressed because you're having a baby and stuff like that. You just said something that I can't look at you the same. You get what I'm saying? And that's breeds separated parents and stuff, because some women do the study on how many women are actually like breaking up in the midst of their pregnancy because they don't know how to conduct themselves and their behavior. Why? Because they never really had a true feminine ideology, a true submissive ideology, where even when he's seeing you go through the most crazy stuff, it's almost like that's your personality. And now that I know you really would be like this when you get pregnant, I'm really out. And that kind of culture has been what breeded a lot of babies and a lot of single moms and the women in the hood and stuff. But a lot of women are getting drunk and they having they trifling women and they're having sex with guys and and messing around with people, and they not even married to these people, and they just and that culture of having sex with a stranger or having sex with a person that they kind of always wanted to have sex with becomes where they actually have that out of wedlock baby. And it's like, it's not enough thought process of, hey, I'm not saying we got to go back to courting, but you're almost saying that you got to go back to courting. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that the level of what's the value of a woman? Are you a virgin? No. Your stock goes down. Okay? Okay, you can't be asking for a man that's $100,000 and up if you're a virgin, if you're not a virgin. You know, if you don't got good upbringing, if you got good manners, if you're not submissive on a dime. It's got to be natural that you don't care if it's a rich man or a poor man, if it's your father or if it's your brother, you're submissive. You get what I'm saying? And if that's not the situation, then your stock goes heavily down. And you almost go watch Bridgerton or some kind of Victorian century movie and stuff, or TV show, and you'll see how far out of respect women are naturally now. And I'm talking about very beautiful women and great families, background, and all that stuff like that. Good women. They're totally out of what they're supposed to be, going to the table, going to the opposite sex. So now it's like, you gotta understand a guy that's coming into the picture, he's kind of doing whatever he's doing to level up and become something and make something of himself. That's a lot for him to have to deal with. The most that he want to deal with when he comes home or he mates with a person is, I got to get ready to do it again tomorrow. I got to get ready to do it again in another 4 or 5 hours. I need my mind to be right and my energy to be right and my focus to be right. And what I need to know is I'm not at war all day, 24/7, all day. And that's the purpose of women, to kind of make sure a man that's going out there to battle the world, that he's not in the mindset that he's warring with the world, and then he comes back home and he's got to find this way to, coexist in the house and stuff. That's not going to be good. And that's what breed society we have now. So incentive for like abortions is that it's to level up. It's to make sure that you don't have to raise a kid for 18 months with somebody that doesn't have $100,000 and up. That's the thought process of abortion. So I'm just answering your question, and I'll rewind it a little bit just to make sure that I got the context of it right, because he rephrased it, and I want to make sure that I be good to what he asking.
Want more children, not from degenerates. We still need to fix that part of it. But wouldn't you want more children, considering that they're letting a bunch of immigrants into the country?
No, see, that's the problem. No, you don't want more kids. If like you say a comment like these degenerates, and it's like, what's a degenerate mean? That somebody's just completely useless and doing some delinquent ass stuff. You get what I'm saying? But if your conversation is the guy that's not making 6 figures and up, and he's like totality and and all those guys are just degenerates, then you're separating average women from average men. Because you set the guardrails. You picked a man. If he wasn't 6 figures and up, that was your fault. Well, we don't need to think about if the man's six figures yet until the woman submit to her value, and that she ain't no 10, she ain't no 9, she ain't no 8, she ain't no great specimen of a physicality. She's not like a value to a great powerful man. But then you put it in a mindset, a 6-figure earner and up, that the average woman should strive to have a man that's in that figures, that earning, or he should be on his way into that earning. The average woman, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. It's crazy, because that's why you get, like, look, everybody. Look, don't even get me started. I'm saying stuff in my head, and I'm trying to stop myself from saying it. So sometimes I have to hesitate a little bit, but that's what that is. But look, that's the level up culture has destroyed America pretty much, and I don't know if we're gonna ever get it back. There's too much demand. And this is way before social media and the influencers and all that stuff. It's too much of the, you gotta have that dough. You gotta have that bag before I even consider you as a human being. Before I even deal with that we could build something here. And the conversation of, is it too late? It's never too late. Two people could come together and make something happen. But you also have women that are not even trying because they don't know how to subdue their wants and their desires and their needs in order to build something that's going to give them their wants and their needs anyway. But at the same time, they don't have the strategic patience to do it. And women's supposed to be the most patient. So, but it's the level up culture. It's the, what have you done for me lately? And if you're doing that every single day, every single week for years in a relationship, then you have a demise situation. Women have spent their time with one man too long, or their value decline and stuff like that, and then they end up regretting it when they get in their older age. And it's like, this could have been a whole lot smoother if you just submit, if you just communicated, if you even allowed an environment to communicate. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of guys go through this stuff, and I feel sorry for our culture and our society that we allow something so momentarily to be long-term decisions. Like, women won't even get in a relationship with a person unless the moment, like right now, is tight. It's got to be right now. Everything's got to be tight right now. In that thought process, some men, they spend their time economically or making it right now. But when the time comes where you want to do more, or when you want to do something bigger, or you want to like readjust, you can't readjust because the woman's not used to that, or you're readjusting and you're taking a 10-year time span to build a company, a big apparatus that you're kind of like, dude, I ain't trying to struggle like this for this time. But no, you didn't struggle. So now struggle for this time until we accomplish this goal, until we get to this level that we want to get to, that we adjusting to make sure that we get to the overall level that I feel that we can get to. But women won't do that. So that's where you get the divorces. That's where you get the single moms. That's where you get all the other stuff. Why? Because the level up culture, and I want people to stop thinking that that's a new thing. It's not a new thing for the social media influencers, the cryptocurrency guys, and the tech billionaires and millionaires and stuff like that. It's not from them. It's from 1970. It's from your mom leaving your dad, and it's from the baby boomers leaving their mates and stuff and breaking up the household in order, because I can work 2 jobs, I can work 3 jobs, I can get help from the government without you. So give me an incentive to even be in a relationship with you. That all that did was grow and manifest to the modern culture that we have right now with men and women. That's all that did. So incentive to have a baby or to get an abortion is that level up culture. And it's the vice versa. Hey, if he got 6 figures and up, I'm having this baby. Oh, he broke, man. If I can get an abortion, I'm going to get one. If it ain't too late, I'm going to get one. That's it right there.
I guess to shore up the population while at the same time making sure that they're endearing them to the Democratic Party. It's almost like you cannot be demonic and solve for problems. Curious as to what you guys think. Make sure
you cannot be demonic and care for problems. You can't, not meaning like you can't, like, to be spiritual and be spiritual guiding and making sure that you're doing the right thing, pretty much, and or the Christian thing, and do the right thing for society. I always say that I think it's a bad thing that our culture tries to analyze morality, because I think we're the most degenerate culture in the world, and I think we're extremely degenerate in our behavior with each other. You know what I mean? Because we think we have made comfortability our morality. Do you understand that? We only think about being a good Christian if we're comfortable enough, if we're stable enough, if we're financially happy, or we're economically happy, if we're accomplishable happy and stuff like that. That's the only time we actually thinking about being a human being and civilized with each other. Otherwise, we're adding to the problem. You know what I'm saying? And so when you say, like, can we, like, not be demonic and do what's good for the country or the world or civilization, I don't think we playing that game. I don't think even Anton's playing that game. I think Anton's playing that game in his personal life, where he's kind of advocating, he's communicating, he's doing everything he can. He's telling you really good stuff, and I'm telling you, like, that you don't date. Whoever the person you decide to date, that better be the person that you decide to marry. I totally agree with that. So that's a good message, even that he can have a person that's 350 million people in this country, and I'm picking that up from him. So that message is out there enough from him, from Anton Daniels, to know that it's out there enough to come back to every individual person that's come across his content or is in the algorithm and everything like that, and they're able to come to his content. They're gonna somewhat, if they catch on to him and lock into him and start to repeat watch or pay attention to his clips or something like that, if it pops up in the algorithm or something, they're gonna get that message from them. That if you're not married, I mean, if you're dating a person or you're interacting with a person, then that should be the person you're about to marry. You know what I'm saying? So that's out there. He got that message out there. But the problem of it is that Andrew Tate, Anton Daniels, Saint and Sinner, even Fresh and Fit, they all have to kind of figure out how, like, no one is saying you can't level up. And most people level up in a peaceful environment. So it's not about leveling up. It's about getting a peaceful, working, productive environment first. That's what you need. Okay? And so happen to people, they mate. They mate when they're in their 20s, and they you know, in their early 20s, and as they come up, they mate. So that means that they're going to interact with the opposite sex, and they're going to fall for the opposite sex. And the most likely that's going to happen. to the average human being. I'm talking about 80% of all human beings are going to meet and interact in a spiritual manner with the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, you have to allow them psychologically, or build a culture, or build a philosophy or interaction to tell people it's natural to come together. It's natural to build with each other. Start from zero and up, or whatever you come to the table with. Even if you're not zero and one person's 100, you come to the table, you're at zero now. You build up with each other, you build a life, and you battle every single force that's outside that house. You don't need to fight with each other. You're just two people, and most likely you want the best from each other. But everybody outside that house, everybody outside your relationship, they don't care if you win or lose, succeed or fail, do or don't. They would chastise you. They would scrutinize you. They would judge you. They would point their fingers at you and make judgments. But would you to counteract the forces outside your relationship, outside your house, is you gotta advocate for each other. You have to 100% protect and advocate for each other. And whatever the plan is that you guys are doing to counteract the forces outside, it'll level you up. Okay? Problem is, that's not the culture. That's not the communication from the social media influencers, from the actual the alphas, or whatever you want to say. It's not in that conversation. So it's not even part of the conversation no more. It's like, don't even leave your house unless you're 6 figures and up. Don't even interact with the opposite sex unless you're 6 figures and up. Don't even think about having a kid until you're 6 figures and up. Don't even be a human being with natural human impulses until you're 6 figures and up. Don't live a spiritual life that's under naturality and normality instead of monetarily. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure monetarily, you get what I'm saying? You gotta make sure that two people know. You gotta get back to the naturalness of it. If you meet a person, you're attracted to the person, you're interacting with a person, or at least you're enough where you want to go full throttle into mating with each other, then that's the person you decide, you know what? Hey, I want to mate with you. I want to be with you. I feel that you're a person I can share time with and interaction with. So if I feel that I can feel time with you, interaction with enough, then I think we should be married then. So let's just come together. Let's get married. You get what I'm saying? I understand we got to go through procedures. I got to meet your family. You got to meet my family. But let's come together and because we got work to do. We got to fight this world together. And if we can't build a culture and philosophy that communicates that, then this is all a waste, y'all. It's all a waste. And I think we're just going to go down this rabbit hole of level up. You get what I'm saying? What has that done for us for the last 40, 50 years? It has not made us a friendly environment. We hate each other. We really do. Men and women, especially the blacks. we really hate each other, and we just kind of say, hey, I don't even want to deal with it. You know, one night stand, whatever I'm using you for, and that's about it. I'm out. So this just to answer Anton Daniel's question about what's the incentive for abortions or having kids or the reproductive conversation. What is the incentive for it? What's the purpose of that conversation? I hope I kind of answered. I know I did 140 minutes on it, but I want to give you some more data to my point of view. Okay.
There is something to back up what he said. Disproportionately, African American women are the ones having abortions, and it's African American unborn babies who are being destroyed at a disproportionate rate. And this whole, if you will, birth control and abortion movement goes back to a fairly shameful period in American history back before World War II, the eugenics movement, which had such dreadful slogans as more from the fit and less from the unfit. So his facts are correct, and he's a presidential candidate, however. So I think that Senator women are...
Okay. I'm gonna kind of start this over again. I'm gonna put some context to it. Okay, this is, I think his name is Pat Buchanan and stuff. But he's kind of talking about, just a while ago this happened. This is like leading up to Obama's second term. Second election and everything, and one of the candidates was Rick Santorum, and he's very Christian and evangelical and stuff like that, and he was talking about the degeneracy about abortion and stuff like that, and the opinion that he came out, that he was getting interviewed, and he's talked about in the media, women got triggered so much about it, and they all kind of having this conversation about this Neanderthal, old-fashioned, back to the Stone Age guy, Christian, talking about the mindset of when a woman have an abortion and how horrible that is, and again, having the babies and all the stuff like that. But look, this guy having a conversation with this black news anchor. Pat Buchanan is having a conversation about the news with the black news anchor of their theory and their conversation of what their response is and how they look at what Rick Santorum said. Okay?
There is something to back up what he said. Disproportionately, African...
Let it catch up. Give me a little freeze. Sorry about that.
There is something to back up what he said. Disproportionately, African American women are the ones having abortions, and it's African American unborn babies.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why it's giving me a little freeze. Sorry about that. I get Daniel say I'm struggle streaming. Let me see.
African American women are the ones having abortions, and it's African American unborn babies who are being destroyed at a disproportionate rate. And this whole, if you will, birth control and abortion movement goes back to a fairly shameful period in American history back before World War II, the eugenics movement, which had such dreadful slogans as more from the fit and less from the unfit. So his facts are correct, and he's a presidential candidate, however. So I think that Senator Santorum should be the one to defend his remarks. They don't offend me, but I would let others who believe they do make the allegation. And what Santorum was saying was, look, that was exactly what was done to African Americans for 250 years. And you go to Dred Scott, they are not persons under the Constitution. They don't even have a right to be a citizen. And finally, under the 14th Amendment, that was struck down, 13th and 14th Amendment, and they were declared persons under the Constitution.
This
the same rights to life, liberty, and everyone else.
And bringing race into...
So Santorum is saying that you've constricted it and taken that right of personhood and life away from a whole class of folks, unborn children, and a disproportionate number of those are African American.
Very, very.
Okay, so his point was that, because I want to make sure that he could communicate that well, because she's jumping in at him and everything like that, and she's getting triggered by it and everything. And I understand people probably watching this and getting triggered by it, but what he was saying is that people part of the race movement was pissed that in the Constitution it would say 3/4 of a. They said that it would say 3/4 of a person, okay, and that was not including Black Americans as a whole human being in the Constitution. So that's why they did the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment to make sure that the Constitution speak of Black Americans as a whole person, and they have all the rights of the Constitution as a person as a whole. And they're saying that women are going back to those days where they're saying, well, the baby ain't really a baby yet. It's just a fetus, or it's just a embryo, or it's just you know what I mean? And you devalue the baby so much at a certain time in the womb and stuff, that at a certain time it's a human being now and it's got rights. That's what he's saying. Okay, I'm not saying that that's what I believe. That's what Pat Buchanan was saying, and that was his argument to how Rick Santorum was talking about how people look at babies and fetuses inside of the womb and the ability to terminate and have an abortion. Okay, so that's what that point of view was. And they started off by communicating about the eugenics thought process of the reason why abortion was brought into existence. So let me take you back to that, because I want to get that full context before we do a final 3 to 4 minutes of clips. But I want to give the context of who manufactured and made medically abortions be able to be done, and to actually have hospitals to be able to do it, and have people to be able to do it, how to do it safely and secure and all this stuff. It came from a woman that thought that Black people having babies, we got to stop that. We got to shorten Black people getting babies. We have to shorten dumb people having babies. And she put into pretty much into our society right now, Margaret Sanger, she put into society that we had to manage this so you won't have dumb people having babies, or poor people having babies, or the low, like a less valued human having a baby. Because what she means by that is white people are like the top of the food chain in productivity and ability and all that other stuff. That's how she's seen it. Margaret Sanger seen it. And then you got certain other demographics that they're not as valuable as white people. So we need to find a way to get, if we can't trick them, if we can't manipulate them, if we can't figure out a way that they can have the option of not having a baby, we need to have the services to allow for us to even come in to help them not have that baby. And that's where she came up with abortion for. So let me, but don't take my word for it. Take hers.
As founder of the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, is no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the Black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
The Mike Wallace Interview.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. She often wrote about the issue in the journal she founded, called the Birth Control Review. In 1919, writing,
I personally believe in the sterilization of the feeble-minded, the insane, and the syphilitic. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective.
Many point to a 1923 New York Times interview as proof of Sanger's racist motives, in which she referred to people as weeds, saying,
It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
Hayden Ludwig, an
That's in New
investigative
York Times.
researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
But we don't need to hear a person's opinion of what her stuff is. We just seen a mouthful from her own communication. You know what I'm saying? I don't only want to hear what she got to say because it's pretty brutal.
Civilization.
Hayden Ludwig, an investigative researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
She talked about the need for race betterment through controlling these weeds, basically undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
So funny, Du Bois, he was known to be like a radical, like a Black Panther kind of. He would always kind of call Booker T. Washington like Uncle Tom and stuff. But B.D. Du Bois, he was like a radical Black person, and he actually helped Margaret Sanger put abortions into Black communities pretty much to stop the growth of the Black community and stop and not force people to be a little bit more coherent to building a good, strong Black community and stable community where they can force people to stay together and have great marriages and stuff, or have good households and stuff for the development of the culture and the almost like development of the people. So he was even saying that he wanted to control who part of the Black race had babies or not. That's interesting. Pay attention to that, y'all.
Opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B.
I got this little sticky and they're sticking on me. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, let's go back to here. See how that is.
Civilization.
Hayden Ludwig, an investigative researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
She talked about the need for
let it catch up. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my speakers. They give me enough bandwidth.
Race betterment through controlling these weeds, basically undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control...
Come on, y'all. What's going on? I'm almost done with it, y'all. I just want to make sure they go into the conversation about the Black people and putting pretty much the first Planned Parenthood inside it, because that's what it was.
Activists launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activists.
Come on. See how lagging that is? Sorry about that. Just hang in there with me, y'all. Hang in there with me. I like to give a good presentation to that, so I won't stop it. I'll let them kind of talk it out, and I won't interrupt it by pausing it to talk to it. That way it can work smooth.
Undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activists launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, They know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision.
So, yes, Hillary Clinton speaking on her. Yeah, so it's sticking a little bit on me, guys. Let me go back and see if I can get that to act right. And then I'll stop this, because I just wanted you guys to hear how they talked about putting it into black communities, and her kind of talking to the Ku Klux Klan members, doing speeches with the Ku Klux Klan members and stuff like that. So I just wanted you guys to kind of get that and not take it from me saying it, but hear it in their own words and research that this is all real, you know.
That it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation.
Come on. She's the foundation
of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku.
Wow. Because you guys got to see her pictures and stuff, everything that they're doing. And I'm just trying to figure it out why this is doing this.
Activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision.
I don't know why I keep stopping right there. There's not a lot of graphics in there, just him. But
the
for
left
some
will
reason,
never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Ryan Baumberger, founder of the Radiance Foundation, says abortion proponents are working to clean up Sanger's past and what she stood for.
They have to reinvent her every time they talk about her in order to justify their celebration of her.
Former Planned Parenthood Director Abby Johnson says those inside the abortion industry are trained to overlook Sanger's racist views.
They give you an answer like, well, I mean, yes, Margaret Sanger was a racist, but everybody was a racist back then. You accept it because she is your hero. And she...
Yeah, so that's kind of let you guys pretty much get to where pretty much who's the power of abortion. These are, if you do your research and stuff like that, you'll know that Planned Parenthood is the power of it. You know that the movement of the abortion is the power of Margaret Sanger. You even got Hillary Clinton in modern time communicating with you like that. So you won't think that I'm just giving you propaganda. This is all the truth. And so when women are advocating for abortions and stuff, this is how ignorant they are at the whole point of view of what they're advocating for, and how men and women have allowed themselves to advocate for Margaret Sanger and the level up culture. They don't even notice it. You get what I'm saying? Because the level up culture is talks about the weeds just like Margaret Sanger did, and they don't notice it. But I'm giving you data to it. And we're going to do a couple minutes on this, guys, and we're going to wrap this up, okay? We got about 4 more minutes to go.
The Supreme Court ruling could also blunt any challenges to Florida's new law limiting most abortions after 15 weeks.
Many states have already passed plans to outlaw abortion altogether if Roe is in fact overturned. New at 11, News 6's Catherine Silver shows us how it could impact black women in particular.
Get your hands off my body! Protests and praise have followed the release of a now confirmed draft opinion from the Supreme Court that signals a possible end to Roe v. Wade. The document now calling into question what's next.
This is very concerning.
Rebecca Desir is the founder of the Black Health Commission in Orlando.
People of color, and to be specific, Black women, we already face disparities that determine our overall health.
She says minority women will bear the brunt of limited access to health care.
Whether it's education and all these things, and it just makes it so difficult.
Black women account for the highest number of reported abortions in Florida, nearly 35% according to the most recent CDC data. They are also more likely to die from pregnancy complications.
The rate of death for non-Hispanic Black people is more than 3 times higher.
Sociology professor Amanda Stevenson studies the possible impacts of an abortion ban in the U.S.
Pregnancy is more deadly than abortion.
Her research estimates additional deaths would increase 7% in the first year and 21% in the years following.
I just estimated how many more people would die because when you're denied an abortion, that means you're forced to stay pregnant. And accounting for random
white liberal women got control of y'all,
demographic stuff,
just like Margaret Sanger.
You're going to be exposed to the increase
all he did was just migrate into generation after generation. Sad.
A Republican-led legislature recently passed a 15-week ban on abortions effective July 1st.
We're very excited about this.
Pro-life supporters say there are options for women.
Florida has over 200 pregnancy centers. It shouldn't be a financial issue to have your child.
Those who support a woman's right to make her own choice want them to remember abortion may be limited, but it is still legal.
So our doors are still open. We're here for our patients. So I want people to know that.
Planned Parenthood is working to ramp up what they call their navigation team. They say it will help women who will seek care out of state. I'm Catherine Silver, getting results, News 6.
Ruling could also...
And the reason why that's crazy, because like what's 15 weeks, that's what, 4.5 months. If you don't, you miss your period about 3 or 4 times, okay? You don't know you're pregnant yet. By 4.5 months, and most women will want the option of having, pretty much up until the 9th month. That's what in the debate. That's what everybody's saying, that they want to. Don't tell me what to do at any given time during the 9 months. What to do with my body, but it was known, like I guess up to 21 weeks. And what is that? That's 5, 6. About 6.5, 6, 7 months that you want to. That's a mess. They got to do surgery. They got to do all kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? But I remember, like, and I know it's a lot of states. I know this for sure. It's a fact. It's a lot of states let you get abortions up to 21 weeks. That's a lot. That's 7 months. And you're supposed to have the baby kicking out at 9 months. 7 months, like, dude, you way over half the thing. Even 3 months, 4 months is pretty crazy, because that's pretty big. It's a bacteria now. If you kill it, like, obviously you want to do an actual abortion where you sit on the table and they extract the baby from the womb. You get what I'm saying? Instead of, like, you got knucklehead ass women taking pills, killing the baby inside of them when it's over 4 months and something like that. And you got this bacteria collecting because it's dead body that's in your body, and it's decomposing in your body, and you're in. That's what makes women go into like that emergency extraction situation, because it's just bad for the human body to have a dead body in it. So look, I know this song, I might get flagged on this conversation, but that's how wild it is. And I'm playing that for you guys because I want you to see what the numbers is in the black community. I'm gonna play one more for you. Because let's do the north and south, okay? The south and north.
Some Ohio leaders are responding to that bombshell leak out of the nation's highest court. The Supreme Court has confirmed the authenticity of a draft opinion that could allow states to outlaw abortion. That opinion is not yet final, but as News 5's DeLon Dillard reports, some local leaders do say if it does become final, it will disproportionately impact black women.
Right off the top, let's talk about the numbers. According to the Ohio Department of Health, more black women statewide had an abortion in 2020 than any other race. We're talking about 48%. To be even more specific, Cuyahoga County had the most at 31.5%. State Representative Juanita Brent sits on Ohio's Black Maternal Health Caucus.
We are going back to a time where the private conversations about a woman being pregnant was not between her and her doctor. It became between her and the legal system.
Highest court.
But this is my problem though. This is my problem. You always got these women that are past their prime or their birthing age, advocating for young women to destroy their bodies and put themselves in the most degenerate, ridiculous situation. Having sex with a human being gives a high probability of having a baby. That's just the way it is. I don't care about the birth control pill. I don't care about like pulling out. I don't care about condoms. I don't care about nothing. When you have sex with another human being, it's the number one powerful, most giving thing that two human beings can do with each other. Because the man, he takes in whatever the woman is or what she got or whatever, just as much as vice versa. Okay? So when two people are coming together to join, spit and whatever, I know I'm being a little crazy, but when they come together, you're talking about this person that you're having an interaction with is one of the most important things that you're going to come across in your life. And that men, we can't have sex with women without women telling us that we can. We have to have permission to do that. Otherwise, it's a jail situation, okay? So men are not having sex with women that are not and look, I don't want to talk about the anomalies, so don't tell me about women that are getting SAE and all the other stuff, because they're irrelevant, because it's a minute of the full population. So you talk about that on SA channels and different situations, but I'm not having a conversation about the anomaly. I'm not having a conversation about the few, because there's no point of view. You can't subject every situation to the few. Okay, and or say like this is what happens totality because it happened to the few. That's not a real conversation to have. I'm talking about the majority. Most men, most women are in sexual interaction, consensual. Okay, and women shouldn't be opening their legs for any man that's not about to be your husband. Okay, or at the least, let's be real, at the least in a very close, respectable relationship where both parties understand the structure of the relationship. That's what I say, okay? But that you have women, and I have all these old ass, decrepit women, and forget my language. I know that sounds strong, but you have all these women past their primes and everything advocating for abortions the most. And it's pretty much out of bitterness and anger. I'm telling you it is. You psychologically analyze them, put them on the couch and run through it. Okay, you're going to find out that there's some mental illness there. There's some depression there. There's some psychological defect that a woman should never be seeking advice from the women they seek advice from. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to keep from needing to have abortions, to give yourself into a system that is just ridiculous, then you need to go back to courting structure where you don't have sex with a man and you're a virgin, if you're not a virgin and you call yourself re-virginized, got put like a born again virgin or some crazy shit like that, that don't count. Okay, you don't deserve the respect in the courting of a woman that is automatically willing to be submissive to her husband no matter what journey he takes her on, good or bad, rich or poor. Like, why you guys say that vow when you get married? I thee wed for richer and poorer, through sickness and health, to death do us part. Why y'all say that? When there's absolutely, and you got Christians out there, you got Christian people, advocates out there talking about that, you know, to level up, or your man got to have 6-figure, he got to, like, if you're a Christian, if you're a religious person, then you're advocating for people to get married for richness or poor, for sickness or health, to death do them part. So riches for riches and poor, meaning either or. Whatever the journey takes them, they're going to do it together. That's what you're advocating for if you're a Christian and you want to be abiding by the word of God in the Bible. If you want to advocate for other people to live their life by the Bible and the word of God in true biblical scripture vows of marriage. So I don't understand the level up. You don't got no room. You have no narrative. You have no place in society perspective. The perspective of leveling up in order to have a family and marriage is not deemed a real relevancy. Why? Because once you take the vows, that means that you're deleting the purpose of the level up culture, meaning that you're getting married and you're placing all your beliefs and your philosophical thought process and everything for the vows under God, meaning that it doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're poor. I am joining with this person in matrimony under the eyes of God, and nothing is more important than that. That's what the vows say, okay? Don't take the vows. In the level up culture, you guys think it's okay for you guys to have this conversation about having a baby or having a marriage only if you're leveling up, or you got rich, you got success or financial stability. It's not. For those two people to join, find that stability together, or find whatever journey they gonna both take together. That's what you're backing up. That's what you're advocating for. And if you don't want to do that, then don't take the vows. Have some kind of relationship. That's the best thing I can say to y'all. Okay. But look at these numbers. You got Florida and now you got Ohio, and you're seeing that black women are the most dysfunctional and they're the most degenerate out of all the cultures. Okay, they even going into the hood. They say, hey, this is 49% or a certain amount of all black women are doing, like, all abortions in Ohio, over Asians, over whites, over Hispanics, over all of them. They're doing it the most. They doing it pretty much half of all abortions. They are. And they tell you, hey, we'll break it down and we'll go deep into the hood, and they still the majority. That's what they said to you. And then they turn to the spokesperson for abortions, or a representative that's advocating for abortion, and it's this messy looking woman, Juanita Brent. It's ridiculous. And this is what our culture and our advocacy and our philosophies are coming from. Like Margaret Sanger, ridiculous looking woman. Hillary Clinton, a ridiculous looking woman. You get what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. And then you got Kamala Harris, that she ain't got no kids. They have no kids. I don't care what her issue is. She had no kids. In addition to that, she's raising a white man's kids. And it's like, that's such a psychological issue. I don't care if it's right or wrong or good or bad. It's a issue there. It's a psychological issue there. So the advocacy of abortion is coming from the most dysfunctional people on the planet. Ridiculous.
About a woman being pregnant was not between her and her doctor. It became between her and the legal system.
Brent explains that any decision surrounding abortions will impact women of color disproportionately. As of 2019, the Black infant mortality rate is nearly triple that of white infants, according to ODH. And Brent says the lack of adequate health care isn't uncommon either.
We cannot be in a place where we're telling people to just abstain. It's more than just that. So if people are not having access to good health care, they're not having good access to contraception, they are not having access to abortions, that's mean our system, our government will have to take care of these children.
Ohio Right to Life is celebrating the win, adding it's the government's job to help women in need.
We need to make sure that if there's any gap where a woman needs prenatal care or anything to help her while she's pregnant, that we're there at the front lines to make sure she has it.
Again, just to be clear here, this draft opinion out of the Supreme Court is just that, a draft. While Brent...
Well, you know that it actually came to fruition now, so it's not just
and
a draft.
Other pro-choice supporters are fighting to get in front of this. Opponents say,
we believe in the inherent right of all people, whether you're black, white, male, female, gay, straight, everyone has an inherent right to life. And we believe by overturning Roe v. Wade, every life will be protected, and that's the...
Yeah, look, it's hard to kind of talk about Roe v. Wade. You guys got to understand, even if you're for abortion or you're against abortion, it was only ever decided by 5 people in this country. And that was 5 Supreme Court justices. Abortion. Do you understand that? That means like women to have the right to go into a clinic and abort a baby in the process of birth. To decide, like, you know what, I don't want to have this baby. It's going to make me financially bad. The amount of women that have complications with pregnancy is 1 percentile. Okay. You know, but I'm going to give it to you. Let's say 10% of all pregnancies. You got a 10% chance of having an issue medically with having that baby. 10%. That means 90% of the time, every single person that gets impregnated, every woman that gets impregnated actually has a great birthing process. That's what that says. So 5 people decided that you can do whatever you want with the abortions, and they have it all the way up to 9 months, even in Roe v. Wade's law. They just have it under stages. So the first 4 months, you could decide whatever you want. Whatever you want. You don't have to have no approval of the doctor. You don't have to consult with it. You can just go into a clinic with nurses. And if they do the procedure, they do the procedures. Okay? And you could pop a pill. You could do whatever you want, all in the first month. Okay? 4 months. The second trimester, that's the second. That's not 4 months. First 3 months, you could do whatever you want. You could just go wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You pop a pill. You can do whatever you want to get rid of the baby. You can go into a clinic and get it done, and you don't have to worry about all the scrutiny of medical journals and all that stuff like that, the Surgeon Generals and all that stuff. You don't have to. It don't have to be a facility that has a specific doctor there. You could just have a OBYNG. You don't have to have a medical surgeon or something like that, or that could do emergency surgery and stuff like that. Additional to that, the second trimester allows for you to, if it's okay and it's in the process of getting abortion, what the doctor feels like is good, and the doctor say, yeah, we can do the procedure of aborting this baby, and we could do it in a healthy way where your body won't be hurt or harmed and stuff like that, then you're allowed to do that. In the third trimester, now it's getting so crazy that they need a reason of why we aborting this baby in the third trimester. This is the last 3 months of the pregnancy. Why are we aborting the baby right now? And then that conversation with the doctor, and if somebody was to kind of go crazy and say, hey man, y'all having too much abortions in the third trimester, they could take that to the court, and the court could oversee what's the protocols of this clinic or the doctors having abortions in the third trimester. And if it's favorable, they go forward. That's all in Roe v. Wade. That's all in the literature and the document of Roe v. Wade. So the judges now, from a ruling that was made in the 1970s, now the new justices, they decided, you know what? This is too conflicting into every single city, every single state. There's too many millions and millions of people that are having issues with the amount and the status or the structure or the rules or the regulations of their abortions. This should not be a decision of us to blanket this with the whole country and giving nobody no input to the procedures and the situation that this should go under. So what we're going to do, we're going to say that this should not be a federal decision. That's what the Supreme Court is. It's a federal decision. The Congress is a federal decision, and the executive branch is a federal decision. We are pushing this back to the states, and everybody in all 50 states, all the states under the United States of America, you guys need to decide how you want to have abortions in your constitution, in your state constitution, in your city regulations and everything like that. So they decided to push the actual Roe v. Wade back to the states. So now every single state has to go make a decision how they want abortion to be in the state. So obviously, state senators, state congressmen put it on the ballot box to let people have a voice of how they want abortion. These are the rules that we feel under abortion of this state that we all agreed on in the Senate and the Congress, that we debate and we pass the law for this regulations to be under how everybody have abortion in the state. So that went on to the ballots in each state, and each state voted. And that's the rules that people are having now. Now, yes, there are women that are going past 6 weeks of pregnancy to decide if they want to have a baby or not. And they're doing some stupid shit, like taking a pill to kill a body inside your body. They're not going into an actual clinic, opening their legs, and then letting the doctor or the OB-GYN or however you say that, extract the dead fetus or to kill the baby and extract it. They're not deciding to do that. They're just taking a pill and having a dead body inside their body. That's gonna disrupt a lot of stuff. That's gonna have a lot of what they call sepsis situations going on, and it's gonna become a majority because it becomes a popular thing to just take the pill and let the baby die, and then let it try to push out let your body react to the bacteria or the sickness, or your body start to reject the fetus in the womb, and it pushes it out. What if it doesn't work like that and you become very sick, which that's been happening majority of the time. So that's why you have a lot of women like, it's like Amber, I can't remember her last name, but that was a situation that happened in Atlanta, and she drove to North Carolina. She got there too late to have the actual lay down, and they extract the baby from it. She actually had twins, and they gave her some pills. She took it, but she was already past 6 weeks. So that means that she was at least like 2 months, 3 months. And she took it, got these bodies, pretty much these baby bodies, twins, sitting in her body. If they know that it was twins, then they were big enough to know what they were. So that's sitting in her body so long, and her body started to reject it so much. And then she went into the hospital. The hospital did follow the Surgeon General laws, and these got nothing to do with abortion and all that stuff, because it's in law with the abortion in Atlanta that you actually You save the patient. Under no circumstances do you harm the patient. If the patient's having a response, you do whatever it can. I don't care if it's babies or what. You kill those babies and save that mother. That's what the law says. Okay? But for some reason, they didn't treat her because they maybe didn't think that. They felt like, okay, we gave her medicine and it should push the baby out or push the pretty much the dead bodies out or the dead fetus or embryos or whatever you want to call them out. But it didn't work that way, and her body kept reacting negatively to it, and that's what made her die. So that's a bigger picture of that situation. I may not be saying all the details, but that's an overall summary of it. And like I'm gonna do an episode that I walk through that situation, and I actually got interviews and everything that go over it really detailed. I just gave a summary of it, so don't look at it that I gave every single step of it, but I'm pretty sure I'm about 80 to 90% accurate on that. Okay. So, but that's what they're kind of doing in these abortion conversations. And that's explain Roe v. Wade to you too, where you can have a better understanding that, of why they went back to the States. So you can have a voice. So every single human being can have a voice. No easy way outs. Something so crazy like that, where it's like we actually did 44 million abortions from 1970 to now, y'all. If we're gonna be doing that for another 40 to 100 years, everybody take your ass to the ballot and vote for it. Either way it goes, pros or cons, whatever way it goes. 6 weeks, 15 weeks, 21 weeks, whatever, or 9 months, whatever. Just go to the ballot box and let the people have the voice. And that's what turning of the Roe v. Wade back to the States did. So that you guys are bitching and moaning and acting like dumb idiots, voting and saying, oh, Trump is going to take away. Trump don't care about your abortions. You go right ahead. He just did not want, he wants the government to be weaker. And for them to only do what they're specifically supposed to do to protect the homeland and protect you and to make sure that they get out of y'all pockets. That's what Trump is there for. I'm giving you an honest, anything else is all noise. It's all perspectives. It's all rhetoric and philosophical bantering and debates and stuff like that. The truth is that he wants government to have as little input into your physical reality as much as possible. Some things they gotta regulate. Some things they gotta have a input on to us. You know what I mean? But some things is just out of control, and it's been out of control for 50, 60, 80 years. I will say since 1932, I think this country federally been out of control. Out of control. Okay? My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. And I just wanted to kind of comment to Anton Daniel's conversation about what's the debate about the abortion situation. And I think no matter what you come across, everything I discuss in it, it'll fall into that. It'll fall into that psychological thought process, mindset, philosophical beliefs, and the rhetoric and the propaganda. It'll all fall into, literally, if I could sum it up into a quick conversation, I will say that debate about abortion is the level up culture, meaning that if you're not a six-figure earner or up, we don't want to have a baby, so we want to have the option of doing and getting rid of the baby as much as we possibly can, or any scenario that we can. If it's from a 24-hour pill all the way up to 9 months, we want to have that option. Okay. And then you have men, we don't really want to step up and make the decision of who we're interacting with and if this person is worthy of being in a situation to have our babies or not, because of they're not like good mating material, because they are not virgins anymore, and they had come with passes with other relationships, and we're not setting the parameters to the level that would be marriage material, level that would be a constant relationship in monogamy. That's wild. You get what I'm saying? If we're not having that blunt conversation up front, it makes this situation where we have these broken society, and we have the necessity or the opportunity to solve a problem is abortions. So that's what that situation is. I think it's low IQ, and I think it's a presentation of how destructive our society is and how damaged it is that women are advocating to abort a baby instead of not having sex with people that are not about to marry them, or they're absolutely 100% in total agreement they're going to marry this man no matter what, through sickness, through health, through riches and poor. You get what I'm saying? To death to them part. If you don't look at the guy you about to have sex with like that, then you shouldn't even have sex with him. But if you're not a virgin, you don't hold the cards to what you could do. You know what I mean? If like a guy may not marry you if you don't have sex with him. You know what I'm saying? But you are the keys. Women are, I want to be clear, women are the actual decider of who has sex. And that's why I say, you know, don't even put yourself in a situation where you're going to try to entice the guy or engage the guy or try to get him to propose to you because you had sex with him. You know what I mean? You just who you are, your mindset, and how you conduct yourself, and how the family and your peers show consistency that you are who you present yourself to be. You guys should be like, if you have sex with each other, it means that you're marrying each other, and it's already done. It's already a foregone conclusion in your soul and your spirit and your subconscious. But that's not what's going on. People are having fun. They want to have a good vacation. They want to have a good interaction. They're attracted to the person, and it's like men are like women, and men are like women, and women are like men. And most of the time, because men are men, really, instinctively. That's why I said the Alexander syndrome. So instinctively, you're going to get women with the mentality of men and men with the mentality of men. And you got a messy society there, boy. That's where everybody's trying to do self-preservation then. Whatever it is to preserve self and whatever we have right now. And if some guys are not giving off, I'm going to marry you and I got a financially stable situation here, then women are trying to look for the exit. They're looking for how can I go back to yesterday? And that's where abortions and different birth control situations and the reproductive rights come into play. But I blame the level up culture for that, because you guys have put so much pressure on society to be this perfect scenario for mating and coming together as a union. That's what I more want to say. So I don't think it should be any parameters of two people coming together as a union. Should be no factors, no nothing. Why? Because what would you do if everybody start to actually look at what their best interest is? And that's the society we got now. It's pretty messy. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. And sorry for going so long on this one, y'all. This only wanted to be 2 hours. But thanks for joining me. And I'll see you on the next one.